trip. So hopefully I can get this out quick and it can make sense. So making a video about a 15-speed transmission. The reason why I'm doing that is because I haven't seen any videos about a 15, and kind of just want to give back to the community. I've seen a lot of people posting videos of how to shift and certain things like that, and I think it's a very good thing when people help each other, especially when you're first starting out. I've seen that YouTube's a good tool to learn new things and work on vehicles, whatever is helpful, and it's a good thing to have, YouTube. I think if there's any knowledge that anybody has out there that it can share with people, they don't mind taking the time and making the video. I think it's an absolute benefit for everybody, including myself. I've benefited from YouTube a lot, and I think I want to give back. That's the reason why I'm making this video. I'm not very good at it. I really don't like. I don't care for social media and all those things. I just do my job and worry about my family and live my life as it is. And for those people that do, it's cool, and that's why I'm making this video also, because even though I'm not a very big social media user, I do like YouTube because of all this different things you can learn on there and all this funny stuff and just things that they're good for all of us, and it makes the time pass by too. I use it a lot too to read the Bible and listen to the Bible. It's actually, to me, it's a benefit, and I want to give back. So I want to explain certain things about this transmission. I'm more than likely I'm going to make a video driving it later, but right now I'm parked. I'm waiting to start working. I've been here since the morning, so since I got a couple hours to wait till we start, I figured I'd just make this video real quick. Hopefully I don't stutter or whatever, because I made a video earlier that didn't really come out too well, so hopefully this one comes out better. So 15-speed transmission is basically 10-speed, and maybe people will hammer me about the terminology later, but the reason why I say that is because you can drive it like a 10-speed. You could drive it. If anybody knows, basically a 10-speed, it's the same pattern. So this is first, second, and third. And here's the thing about the 15-speed that's a little bit different about any other training that I know about, is that on a normally on a 10-speed you would shift here to go fifth and here to go sixth. So let me show that again. So it'd be first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. See, this transmission is inverted. I call it inverted. I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I call it. And the reason why is because it goes first, second, third, and fourth is actually down here, and this is fifth. So even when you're on high, you got to go here first, then here. So the way you drive this transmission is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. If you go on high, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, I don't know if any other 15-speed, the newer ones are like this. This is an older truck. It's a 1989 Peterbilt with the 3406 Cat, and this 15-speed. And I'm pretty sure the rear ends are 4 something, because it's really revved up at 58, 60 miles an hour. It's 2,000 RPM, so it's high up there on the RPMs on the last gear. So it's a very torquey truck, but it doesn't move very fast because its gear really low. What that means is your RPMs are really high and your speed's really low, even on the high gears. It's perfect for climbing hills. It's perfect for when you're in a job site. This is a dump truck, so that's perfect for this type of thing. But anyway, the way you could drive, that's the basic way you could drive it. Then you have the low gears where you could split the low gears. What that means is the low gears, this is the high gears, right? This is a range selector. We call it, in Spanish, we call it a trigger. So I think it's called a gear selector. That's the terminology for it. But anyway, the point being is, you can't, on the 13-speed, you can actually select, you can actually split the high gears. You can't split the high gears on the 15-speed. It's just like a 10-speed. When they're on high, you basically drive like you drive a normal car. You put it on high and you go through the gears. On the 13-speed, you can split every single gear on the high gears. This is actually backwards. You can split every single gear on the low gears. And also, this thing is backwards. On the 13-speed, this thing, when it's back towards yourself, when it's back towards you, it's actually on low. And when it's forward, it's on high. So when you shift on first, that'll be first low, that'll be first high. So this one, it's actually backwards. This one is actually on high, and this one is on low. And for those people that are worried about this, don't worry about it, because when you're on high gear and you try to mess with it, you can't. So that should be a comforting thing to know, that you can't shift, you can't mess with this thing once you put the lever on high, or the trigger, whatever you guys call it. But anyway, my point being is the way you drive this transmission, and there's multiple ways of driving it from what I've figured. But the way I drive it when I'm really heavy, and I don't want to, cause any damage to the truck, to the driveline, or anything like that, what I'll do is so forward would be low. I'll split every gear. But what I do is, what I've noticed is it's easier not to split every gear, because you actually have to shift too much, and you won't move unless you're extremely heavy. You really don't need it. So what I do is I'll put it forward, and I'll go through the gears. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then what I'll do before I actually go on high, I'll put it on, that's right there, that's high, and I'll actually go backwards to 4th, which is 4th high, and then forward to 5th high. So this is the way I'll drive it. I'll go through it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll put it, so remember, towards you it's on high. So I'll go 4th high, 5th high, then I'll select the gear selector on high for the higher gears, or the trigger, whatever you want to call it. Then I'll start 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, like I said, you could split every gear. You could do, like if you were splitting at 13 speed, you go high. You could go on first low. So first low, then take it out of first gear, and then put it again when you move this little knob here, this little trigger thing here. I forget the name of it. Backwards. Actually, they call it deep reduction selector. I'm reading the schematic here, the little thing that shows you all the gears. That's what they call it. Deep reduction selector. Okay, so it's actually a long name. But anyway, the selector. We'll call it the selector. So let's do this again. We'll move it forward to select it on high, on low, and then it'll be first gear, low. We'll put it out of first gear and put the selector on high. This is, remember, towards you is high, so then first gear high. But this is really fast. This has to happen really fast. I want to make a video later about it when I'm driving, but this actually happens really fast. So we were first low, first high, second low, second high, third low, third high, fourth low, fourth high, fifth low, fifth high. So every single time you shift, you have to take it out of gear in the same gear. So if you're shifting first, you got to take it out of gear, unless you want to clutch it, it's harder to do that. And I'll probably talk about floating gears later. And if there's I know there's a lot of videos out there. I have my own way of doing it, and I could, if anybody is interested or whatever, I could show that as well. But I think I'm just gonna make videos and see how, if I'm sure somebody will watch it, and hopefully it'll help people out. But anyway, so, and this disclaimer as well, I don't claim to know more than other people. Everybody has their own way. Everybody has, driving is just like when you paint a picture. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Everybody has their own, artistic form, you could say. So there's nothing wrong unless you're actually damaging the vehicle. If you're damaging the vehicle, then yeah, obviously you don't know how to drive. But if you've been driving for a while and you have a way of doing it, perfect. There's certain things I don't like about the way certain people drive, but like I said, that's my opinion, and I'll probably make a video about that as well. But it's not something that I'm not going to be like judging people or putting anybody down. I'm just basically, I will probably explain what I don't like and what I think is best and what I think is safest to drive in a truck in this kind of business. There's obviously, like I said, there's a lot of opinions, and there's people out there that they have different ways of doing things, and more than likely I'll just show my way because I think there's other ways that people do it that I don't personally use, but I also think they're good. But obviously I can only speak for myself. So, and that's basically how you drive a 15 speed. Now, the most important thing to remember about this transmission is that it's not a 10 speed. It's actually a lot harder to drive than a 10-speed. And the reason being it's harder to drive is because when you're in first gear, it's actually high for the truck. You might have to rev the truck a little bit, kind of like you drive a car, which is not advisable because you'll burn out the clutch. That's another thing I want to explain. It should be revving the engine when you take off on a truck. The truck doesn't need to be revved. It's got plenty of torque in first gear. If you're revving the engine, then you're not driving the truck correctly. And people want to argue to me about that and all that stuff. Well, the clutch, I don't know if some people might know, some people might not know. I'll just throw it out there. The clutch, if it's getting worn out and your clutch is closer to you and it doesn't have play, that means that you're not driving your truck correctly. That means that you're burning out the clutch. And the reason, and people can argue back and forth about that once again, and that's fine. But any mechanic, anybody that knows what they're talking about will tell you, if your clutch is always going towards you and they keep having to adjust it, you're not driving your truck correctly. You're holding the clutch too long. The clutch should only be used to double clutch if you double clutch, which is fine, to disengage your Jake brakes, and when you stop in a complete stop, and when you have to shift. That's on first gear. That's the only time you should actually be using the clutch. If you're holding the clutch longer than that, you're just damaging your vehicle or your boss's vehicle for that matter. So those are things I've learned throughout the years. My dad's been a truck driver all his life. I've been driving since I was 21, 31 now. I don't claim to know everything because I don't, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot more. But it helped me a lot when people explain little things like this to me. So this is something that I would I'm doing it to explain to people. And if I could help anybody out, great. So, well, that car's beat up. Anyway, so those are the things that I could explain as far as that goes, the shift in a 15-speed. And the most important thing to remember about the shift, the 15-speed, I know a lot of people tell you to have the Jakes on the whole day, which I do have the Jakes on all the whole day. That's something else I want to say. These are the Jakes on this truck. But any other kind of vehicle, the Jakes could be anywhere. I like to have the Jakes on the whole time, and I use the clutch to disengage it. I barely tap the clutch I tap the clutch to where I'm not actually using the clutch. The clutch has like a little play area where it's actually a sensor for the Jake brakes, and it'll disengage the Jake brakes. And I use that the whole day. And the reason why I have my Jakes on, so I don't really use my brakes too much. I just keep my distance. And it actually helps you keep your distance from vehicles and avoid accidents and avoid wearing out your brakes. And it's actually, I think I do it just to be safer, to be honest, because it's actually a lot safer to keep your distance with your Jakes than to be close to a car and having to brake every minute. And then you're going to have to keep adjusting your brakes, and eventually you're going to have to replace your brakes. Those are certain things, like I said, there's certain things that I do that I know a lot of guys don't do. They've been driving longer than me. And no disrespect to them. It's just I've learned from my dad, and my dad's been driving for a very long time, and he's a perfectionist. He likes to do things the best way possible to minimize wear and tear in your trucks, because he was born in this country, and where we're from, you don't have the luxury to fix your truck every day. You fix it once a year, if any. At any time at all, because the money was scarce, the work was bad, you wouldn't get paid on time. It's just a lot of stuff that I could talk about that. But anyway, my point being is, you have to drive your truck if you want to be a successful driver, and if you ever want to be an owner operator. And these are the things that it's obviously a different topic, but if you want to do those things, you have to drive as if the truck is yours, so that one day you can actually own your truck and you know what you're doing. Now, if you want to be throwing money away and spending money, hey, that's on you. But if I can show you a way that'll help you and minimize expense and all that stuff, then I'll definitely be happy to show you that to whoever's watching this video, or future people. But anyway, 15-speed, it's easier to shift without the Jakes. Don't use the Jakes when you're first starting out. Use the Jakes when you're on the road, when you're up to speed, 55 miles an hour or whatever your speed limit is, whatever state you're in, and engage your Jakes, turn them on, use them, and then turn them off. And the reason why I'm saying that, because if you leave them on, you're going to forget, and when you try to shift, your RPMs are going to loop down, and you're going to miss every gear, and you might even break the transmission. I've seen that happen a bunch of times. Even with drivers I've taken out, to show them, they always do that, and they always struggle with that. They try to drive like the pros. They try to drive like guys have been driving for years, and it's not going to happen. You need to take your time, and you need to take it. you need to do step by step so that you can learn every step and then get better as you start. Anyway, that's the video. And I'm hopefully I covered enough. Hopefully it helps, and then later I'll make a video driving the tranny and driving the actual truck. My radio's going off over here. The actual truck. So hopefully this works out, and hopefully it's something that you guys could put to use.